Welcome to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple, to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So, stay with us as right now we present. We're going to have a fun show for you today. We had this gentleman on a couple of weeks ago, and the episode was really well received. And there is my new best friend.
Hi.
Hi there. How are you doing, young lady?
Hi, very good. Nice to see you again. Hi, Logan.
Hello.
It's nice to see you too. And can you pronounce your last name for us?
Mine?
Yeah.
San Segundo, like San Francisco. San Segundo.
Okay, we're going to just call you Tanya San Francisco, and that'll be that.
No, I usually, when people ask my name, to spell it, because usually when names are one word only and mine is two, so I usually say, oh, my name is San Segundo, like San Francisco, 2 words, San Segundo.
Nice.
So my friend now is writing letters to Cayetana, San Segundo, like San Francisco.
So Cayetana is joining us here with Positive Talk, and she's going to be with us every Thursday, I'm hoping.
Yes.
And she certainly dresses up the set, I must say. So, and Logan, in the last couple of weeks, what you been doing, my friend?
I've been acting, which has been great. I'm actually in the middle of a shoot right now. We're doing night shoots for a horror short film, which has been a lot of fun. And I've put in a couple of commercials and a industrial since we last spoke. So a lot of acting.
Wow.
And a couple of commercials in the industrial. What does that mean?
Industrial is more of like they're usually used more of like internal marketing or like a promo for a trade show or something like that, as opposed to just a general advertisement that would be out in the world.
Ah, gotcha. So you can do shorts and stuff for companies that have doing stuff. Now, is that because I know you have an agent,
Mm-hmm.
and your agent set you up with all of that stuff?
No, actually, I tracked down all these ones on my own. So,
well, good for you. Good for you. That's got to be a lot of work.
It is. That's the work part of acting, is tracking everything down, keeping it all scheduled, getting everything rolling. That's spreadsheets and work instead of just creative and fun.
Now, we're going to play a little game here, if it's okay. If you were going to advise someone who came from another country,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll pick one. Let's say, I don't know, Ecuador. That's a good one. And so she's got a Spanish accent.
Mm-hmm.
She's very presentable. She is very articulate. How would you suggest that she go about looking for, obviously, Spanish speaking roles in the industry?
Well, there's a lot of posts. There's Facebook groups. There's casting networks, Actors Access. Goodness. All of those big sites. There's often even a filter that you can pick, or you can, of course, add to your profile that you speak Spanish, and you can filter results that are asking for either bilingual or Spanish speaking, or a lot of them want either a general accent or a Spanish accent. There's a lot of roles for that in all those areas. And right now in casting, is a really good time to be diverse. There's a lot more going on than just the typical young, white person kind of vibe. Everybody's looking to be more representative from what I'm seeing. And that's really great. So there's a lot more opportunity. Still not quite equal, but it's getting there. So it's a good time to be diving in with that. And like I said, a lot of the bigger sites, you can specifically filter for roles looking for that, which there's a fair amount, especially Spanish. That's the one you see the most, is if you can speak Spanish and English. That is the one they're always trying to grab, because that's the second biggest demographic besides English speaking in the United States. So
that's right. What's a name of a site, for example, that people can go and that way they can find?
Casting Frontiers and Casting Networks are pretty good for the Pacific Northwest region. Actors Access is another one, but it's more geared towards LA from what I know of it. You don't see as much casting for up here. And then Facebook groups are a really good one for a lot of stuff. There's like Film Crews and Actors of Seattle. There's Portland Casting Hub. There's Seattle Open Castings. There's a bunch of them. And a lot of those, the nice thing about those is, at least in my experience, they're drawing from a slightly smaller pool. So you're more likely to be seen on one of those. Yeah, it may not pay as big, but until you really get rolling and your agent's submitting you on the bigger sites, that's really a good way to get your foot in the door, I think.
Okay.
And even for old people like me, there are roles to be had because they're looking in some cases for grandmas and grandpas and,
Yep.
and
Exactly.
older folks and stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely there's still, I mean, in my experience, there's still a lot more roles for older guys than there are for older women. But again, that's starting to even out too. And just, more interesting looks and body types and everything like that. So, like you, you have a great look that, well, both of you do.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
that would, that is a lot more representative of the way people in the world look, which is what film is trying to get at now. It's not just this idealized, this is exactly the way people should be. They're realizing that, there's a great diversity in the way people look in the world and the way people are perceived. Like, everybody has their own things that they find beautiful, whatever that might be. And you'll capture more people, and you'll also engage the world better when they see reality reflected on the screen. So I think that's really being explored a lot more in film and television than it ever has been.
How do people go about finding a good agent?
That one, it's a little different than when I was younger, and I'm still kind of learning about that too. Because I was in the film industry quite a while ago for a little bit, and then I was out of it for a long time, and now I'm kind of diving back in head first. But a lot of the agencies in the Pacific Northwest, it's about half and half. Ones that either want you to prepare an audition and go in an audition for them, or some of them just want you to send in a reel that is already work you've done. So that seems to be about half and half there. And some of the real big agencies require a referral. So you're not even going to get seen by them unless you know somebody in the agency that's referring you, or the agent has seen you somewhere and asks you to come in. So the real big ones are a little tougher to get into sometimes because of that. But the smaller ones, yeah, a lot of the times you can send an email, you can show up, you can tag them on their social media and say, hey, I would love to be seen by you guys and possibly talk representation. And they'll give you a path of how they prefer to do it. They're pretty open about, they want to find the next big person because that's where their money comes from too. So they're just as interested in seeing somebody new as you are in getting representation.
Exactly.
So if you were to hire an agent, what do they get? I mean, is it like 10%, 20%? Do they expect you to pay them a residual up front in order for them to represent? How does that work?
Most of the time, it'll be somewhere between 10 and 20, but 10 to 15 is more common. 20 is like if you have a manager who really is involved, but 10% to 15% is pretty normal. And most agencies won't have anything beyond like a website maintenance fee. Like my agent, it's a very small once a year fee just to pay for updating their website and everything. Which is, I mean, it's next to nothing. It's like $35. It's not much at all. So if there's any fees at all up front, that's usually what it is. If they're asking you for like $200 or like you have to spend $700 with our photographer or whatever, a little sketchy. I would probably stay away from ones that do that. But the whole point of an agent is that they're working to get you the job so that they get paid. It's not you paying them to find the job. It's them finding you the job and you paying them for doing that after you get the job.
Yeah.
That's really good. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry about that. Yes, I remember when I was looking for to get, to find someone, an agent or an agency to represent me. Yeah, I ran into a lot of people who wanted me to pay a lot of money upfront to do the photos. It had to be with this photographer or else. And I'm like, oh, this sounds sketchy because, I mean, I didn't know how it works here in the United States.
Sure.
Yeah, it was. But good that you're mentioning that so people know.
Yeah. And I mean, no matter what, you're going to have to get some good photos. It's just the ones, like some agencies will say, hey, we like this person, and they offer a discount for people with us. Great. You're going to have to get the photos anyway. But the ones that are like, they don't give you any information. They're just like, if you want to be with our agency, you have to talk to this person and blah, blah, blah. If you've already got good headshots and stuff, they will more than likely let you just use those. But no matter what, you will have to get good ones, but don't get pulled into the trap of like, yeah, to start with us, it's like a $500 fee. They're not a lawyer. You're not paying them a retainer. It's a different kind of vibe.
Thank you.
Now, when you're talking to an agent, if you happen to be a good-looking female and you're talking to an agent, do they run you through the drill of what kind of parts will you do, won't you do, how much you're willing to undress, or does that even come up in your conversation with agents?
So that would probably be an agent to agent difference. On all of the big casting websites, part of the profile you fill out there is often a nudity section. There's a like, are you willing to be partially nude, underwear? And you can check no nudity at all. Same deal with like, a lot of the times they'll ask like same-sex kissing and stuff like that too on those websites, just purely for casting. If I'm casting a role where, you're playing a meth head running naked through the street, but you're not willing to be naked, I'm not even going to waste my time considering you for that role. But it's not like, it's more of just an informational meeting usually. And they'll ask you questions like that in a kind, respectful manner. And if they don't, you don't want to work with that person. But they will need to get that information, because for casting, we need to know, hey, are you willing to do a scene where you're in bed having a conversation? Not necessarily naked or anything, but still it's an intimate situation in this script, and it's important. And we're going to be seeing 1,000 people for this. We want to narrow it down as far as possible. So if you're not willing to do that, we need to know that up front. So it's not like a creepy thing. It's not like are you willing to get naked right now? Don't ever work with somebody that says that. But
yes.
Yeah, but no, you will have to get into a lot of the minutia of it. You'll have to give accurate sizing, accurate weight. You'll have to tell them if you're willing to be in, any of those sensitive things. A lot of the times will come up on a casting profile, like, are you willing to do religious or political things, or nudity, or in addition to just the regular stuff of like, do you speak another language? Do you have any other skills? Like, oh, you can juggle? Great, put that in your profile. It doesn't seem important, but that might get you the role that sets off your career.
A juggler, yeah.
So you never know.
Seriously,
so as much information you can give up front will give you a better chance of booking more gigs.
Is one of the things that they sell, especially females, not so much men, but one of the things that they sell is, if you're open, wink, wink, to anything, the chances of you getting more parts, wink, wink, is better.
I love
it. That's changing a lot.
Well, he's in prison, I think, or he's dead, or something like it. Weinstein?
Yeah.
Oh, Weinstein. Yeah, he's in jail right now.
Yeah, as he should be.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is changing. It's more, I mean, from what I'm seeing, again, I'm not the be all know all, and I'm not some big mega star or anything. I'm a tiny little drop in an ocean. But that kind of talk and attitude seems to be going away, and it's much more about what can you bring to this. We want to see you, and we want to see what makes you you and the light that you can bring. And if that fits into what we're looking for, great. If it doesn't, but you're still interesting, we might work on something with you. We'll keep you in the mind for the future. It's not just a like running down the list of like, oh, sorry, you're not pretty enough. You're not willing to get naked. You're not blah, blah. It's more, I want to see what you can bring. And maybe we can put our visions together to make this great project. Kind of a vibe is what I'm seeing more now.
Are you also seeing, I think I'm seeing that it used, see, I grew up in a time when television, even the Dick Van Dyke Show
Mhm.
and I Love Lucy and those, they had twin beds, so
Mhm.
they weren't even sleeping in the same bed and stuff. And it's gone all the way from there to you can have anything that you want in film today if you want to go look for it. But
Mhm.
are you finding that gratuitous sex is not as prevalent as it was like 30 years ago when it was kind of brand new and everybody got a giggle out of it, kind of thing?
um, yeah, it seems to. So, you know, they say about many things, the pendulum swings. So it was like you can't have anything, and then people felt like they had to have everything, and now it's kind of swinging the other way of it needs to serve the story. So if it's not important to the characters, if it doesn't move their story forward, we're not just going to put it in there to put it in there. In a good project, there's always going to be ones that are just like, hey, our audience is 18-year-old boys who are probably drunk. We better put some nudity in there.
Yeah.
But I I'm not seeing as much of any kind of gratuitous stuff in the scripts and parts and stuff I've done this past year. It's always much more about what's going to serve the story and what's realistic within reason with these characters. Um, so people are kind of more mindful of, you know, we can't just, I mean, even something that's totally unreal, like the thing I'm working on right now is a cult, you know, killing babies and stuff. It doesn't really seem all that realistic, but at the same time, the way it's written and what's expected of me and my co-star Ren Caldwell is you need to be true to what a person would be in this situation. You know, you're not going to just cuss up a storm because that sounds cool. You know, we're not trying to be Tarantino here and just throw a bunch of nasty language in there because no, it's like this person's so frustrated that that's the only thing that they can say that comes close to expressing it.
Mhm.
So
That is really
Completely.
interesting because um have you heard of QAnon?
I have.
Yes.
And there is this whole thing about killing babies and drinking their blood and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
As an actor, do you divorce your personal feelings from that if you want to do the part? And is that easy to do?
Um, so I'll take this two different answers for you. One of them being if it was something pushing an idea like is a good thing. Like if it was a film that I felt after reading it was like QAnon's real and you need to believe it, there's no way I would do it. Um, but at the same time, if I was playing a character in a bigger film that did believe in that, um, I would not divorce my feelings from it. I would use the fact that I would question that to enhance the character because there's no way this person just overnight flipped, right?
Right.
So I would use my resistance to it to build on to be like, what would it take to get me here? And I need to show that whole journey in the character, even though you're seeing the character when they already have finished the journey. You need to see that journey behind where they're at. Um,
Mm.
So
I have
that's
a question for you.
yeah.
Sorry. Do you get into character weeks in advance? Like some actor, for example, they become the actor, become the character, and they act like they for a period of time before the movie starts, and then right after the movie, they kind of still have the same character vibe. Do you do the same, or do you have a different technique?
No, I don't go quite that far. I mean, I think about it, and for some of the heavier stuff, I do need a few minutes to get ready before the shot, but I'm not walking around set, being Abe Lincoln the whole time I'm playing the character. That's not the way I do it. And it definitely has worked for some people. But for me, the problem I would have with that is, and having done that some in college, taken classes where we had to do that for the class, I felt like I was too drained by the time the scene came up. I couldn't bring as much energy to it because I had wasted so much 6 hours beforehand being that character. Whereas if I thought about it and everything and then dove into the character a few minutes before, I could ramp up the intensity a lot more because I wasn't worn out from being the character. Like, it's kind of an intellectual process for me of like connecting the character with their life and the things that brought them to this point and their goals going forward. And then in the moment, I become that character because I know everything about them. It's like I read the book and the instructions on this person, and then when the camera's on, I actually am the person. And that's kind of, I guess, my kind of methody thing. That's not method at all, but that's the way I like to do it and the way I like to think about it.
And so in order to be able to do that,
Mhm.
you have to really get in depth with the character of their background, and whether or not it's written or not, you still need to come up with a full figured 3-dimensional human being that is going to do some stuff in the show, but you want to understand why they're doing what they're doing,
Mhm.
so that you can then translate that onto the screen as a real thing. Is that kind of how you work?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, some people will take that, like, really far, like, they'll write out their character's whole life and everything. I try and connect that character in my mind, what their life would be like, with things that I have experienced, so it can connect with real emotions and real things within me, in addition to, just thinking their kinda general life and what have brought them to that point. But yeah, it's very much, you have to, if you wanna create a real person for the camera, I feel like, you kinda need to create a real person before the camera is turned on, in as far as, where they came from and where they're going. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like, when they were 5 years old, they stubbed their toe and now they walk with a limp. It doesn't have to go that far back for everything. Like, some of them, it's just like, what happened to this guy 3 hours before this that brought him here? And just kind of a general idea of, this guy's a construction worker, he's been doing it 25 years. That kind of, you don't need the whole backstory then, because a physical laborer, you understand that kind of person in general, and then specifically what happened to this guy that brought him right here, then you can go with it. Whereas sometimes you do have to get more in depth than that, but a lot of the times you can kind of use a known character in your life, like either yourself or somebody that you do know intimately, to build off of and kind of have a jumping off point and go into it.
How's
Cool.
your experience with working with children, with teenagers?
Um, I've had great times working with kids and challenging ones. Um, the biggest thing I've found with kids, um, that is a challenge, when you're actually doing a scene with them, I've never had a problem with that, because they're always so willing to play and dive into it and imagine and have fun. The problem is always the waiting, which most of acting is waiting. Acting on film is just waiting. And a lot of the kids I've worked with have had a ton of trouble with that. They can't just do nothing. It's like, I have to do something, and you're doing nothing a lot of the time. So yeah. But I've always enjoyed working with kids because they're just seeing them just dive right into the imaginary world you just want to go there with them. It's fun.
Are there any schools here in Seattle for teenagers to go and perfect their craft?
That I don't know. I don't know. I'm down in the Portland area rather than up in Seattle. And there's a couple of good ones down here. I don't remember the names off the top of my head because I'm not a teenager and I don't have any. But the ones I have worked with this past year, and also just kids of some friends, I know there's several that have pretty good reputation down here. So I would imagine Seattle, it's the same thing.
Yeah, okay.
You have a 14-year-old who you were just talking about it, and she says that she's a great
comedian
nice. And improvisational actress and stuff, and so I'm going to invite her on the show, and we'll see how she does. And now, she was born here, but does she speak Spanish?
Yeah, she speaks Spanish and French.
Wow.
And she has circus experience. She was in circus classes and she was little, and ballet and all this stuff. And now she's learning to play the drums. And I keep telling her, the more the merrier. You want to be an actor, the more you have under your belt, because they might need, like you said, right? I have someone who does, like, what is his name again?
Juggling,
yeah.
Yeah, or drums or multiple languages, all that stuff is huge. And the dance and everything, being able to move and understand your body and how it works is huge. That's massive on film, because you might have to do something that is completely unnatural physically to look good for the camera. You got to understand how your body works to do that. So yeah, dancers and sports people and everything usually are, have a leg up than people that aren't very physical.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So do you to prepare for roles and to be at your best, do you work at like things like yoga and stretching and working out and all of that kind of stuff to keep yourself fit or to change your body in any way?
I've never had to change my body for a role, but I do try and stay active and stay moving and work out just for health in general, but also for a part, because you might have to deliver a line after running up a hill, 16 takes. And if you're really out of shape, that's hard to do. So yeah, it's little things like that. Or you might just have to stand in an uncomfortable position for 4 hours one night. So yeah, but it is good to be physical, and I'm working on getting better at that, because I had a very sedentary job for the last 6 years before this one. So getting back into being more active.
I understand completely. Now, if they like you, if you fit the role in every other way, except you have things like you can't stand for more than 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Do they make allowances for that? Do they make a change if they need to?
Most of the time, yeah. If they feel you're right for the role in every other way, they will figure out a way to cheat it during shooting for whatever you need, within reason. Obviously, but yeah, they're usually pretty accommodating if they feel like you can bring real life to the character as far as emotionally and everything. From what I've seen, that definitely seems to be the case. I've worked with people that couldn't stand, so they just figured out a way in the scene, like, well, your character's just going to be one of those people that comes in and makes themselves comfortable wherever they go. They're just going to sit down and relax,
kind of like Seinfeld.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, or if it's obviously everybody except for Tom Cruise has stunt doubles, because there's just some things that they don't expect an actor to do well, because acting is a very different skill set than a lot of other things, and they don't expect everybody to be great at everything. So that's why they have specialists.
I was talking to a guy who actually had a stunt butt double.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Or
I want
body
one.
double for almost any part, you know. There's plenty of people that you know, it seems like a silly thing, but like reaching for a cup, they'll have somebody else's hand grabbing that cup, either because the person wasn't there that day, or the shot didn't work, or they had an ugly hand, or they had a cut or something on their hand that day.
Yeah, it's like go ahead. Go ahead. It's like this one actor who had, as can happen with a man, a particular hairy butt, and he did not want his hairy butt being shown, and so they took four stunt doubles into his trailer, and he got to pick the butt he wanted. Wouldn't that be nice if you could pick the body part that you really wanted to have?
Yeah, that would be interesting.
I want that butt, I want those hands, I want that shoulder.
Exactly. And then kind of piece yourself together that way.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Cayetana, you said you studied acting, correct?
Yes, in Ecuador and
Okay.
stage design. Yeah.
Cool. Was it like a college degree program? Was it?
Yeah, it was a college degree to some actors in Ecuador. Cesar Carminian is a big actor in Ecuador, and they put on that school. And yeah, I took classes there, and I learned, I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be in movies, but in unfortunately, in my country at the time, I don't know how it is right now, but it happens a lot in Latin America that, beauty. So people like me, dark people, and indigenous looking people are always given, the characters of maids, employees, like all those type of, characters, and the protagonists, or we have to be a white, blue eyes, green eyes person, and we're like, well, like, what is it's not fair, because we're the ones here studying and applying and then doing all these things, and like we like putting our contact card and everything for certain roles, even protagonists, but all of them were rejected. Oh, I have the slave. I don't want to be a slave. I mean, I can do a slave once, but I don't put me as a slave all the time. And the problem in Ecuador is that famous actors who since I remember when I moved here, they still were doing the character of the maid in every single production. Like, how many times this person is going to be a maid, or a poor person, or someone who is like very lower in the in the movie, and so on the picture. And so I remember one particular time there was this soap opera they were doing, and I put my information to get a character. It didn't matter, but they ended up picking up this blonde girl. She was super cool, but she ended up being the protagonist, and she never had any acting. She was pretty bad at acting, but because she was blonde and blue eyes, she got the character, right? And the rest of us who did all the work and was trying to help her in how to act, how to do certain characters, and we're like, okay, this is. I lost, what is the word? I was disillusioned. What is the right word? No, like
that's good. Yeah, disillusion.
Of how it happens it happened in my country. I don't know if it's still the same, but reality is the majority of people in Ecuador are darker skin, and so that should be, like, this is the majority. So find a protagonist here. Let's make something that looks more real than you know what I mean. And so
yeah.
When I moved here, United States, I was in Washington, D.C., and I thought that in order to make it, you only have to be in L.A. I didn't know that you can be an actor in other places in the United States. I didn't. I don't know. I was young.
Yeah. Well, and it's also getting easier to live somewhere else and still even be considered for LA parts, in addition to just stuff going on everywhere else too. There's a lot of film going on everywhere these days, which is good. So, and like I said, it seems like from, productions I've been in and casting notices and everything going out, there's a lot more diversity in casting right now than 20 years ago when I got out of college. So it seems to be improving. I still think it can get better, but hopefully, the industry is making an attempt to fix that, and it seems to be from what I'm seeing. So
I see all the time in Netflix whenever I turn the TV, especially Netflix, the most one. When you get all these pictures that these movies, and majority of the ones that are popping up, maybe because I watch a lot, is like movies where it's international cast. A lot of brown people, the different parts, different countries, and I kind of like that because before it was just one color. And now we have all this Indian show, these I don't know, like this Arab show, this Israel or whatever. Those came into my head. This because what's happening right now in politics or in the world. But yeah, moving from all over, Brazil, Portugal. So I like that, seeing all these movies with different storylines, and it's not the same typical Hollywood storyline. Plots are, sometimes you get blown away because the plots are like, whoa, like Squid Games.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Different cultures, different ideas, different human people's stories in different worlds. It's definitely ramping up and getting more interesting. And even in the Hollywood, machine where it's the typical Hollywood plot, even they're getting a little more representation in their cast, which is good. So yeah, it's definitely nice to see all the people rather than just the idea of what somebody should be on screen. It's now really like, hey, these are people having experiences. Watch it and you'll learn something.
Yeah.
Don't we lose a lot by being so stereotypical of what certain people are supposed to look like? Because there's some really dynamic people out there that may not, that maybe, as an example, that may be African American, but they're looking for a lighter skin and they happen to be a little darker skinned, but they're dynamic and they're I'm hoping we're going in that direction. Is that been your experience?
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a lot more of, like I said earlier, we want somebody who can bring the character to life, not necessarily we want someone who's between 6'1" and 6'1.5", who has this skin tone and this color eyes. Like that's kind of going away, and I'm seeing a lot more of like, does this character connect with you, and do you connect with the character, and can you bring it to life? Not necessarily looks wise, unless it's like super crucial. There seems to be a lot more openness to that. Well, like the thing I'm shooting right now. I mean, I'm not. Look at me. I'm not exactly a poster boy of diversity here, but but the role was written for like an early 20s person who just became a detective. That was the role. And I read for it because I liked the description of everything else about the character, and I liked the script. I liked the idea of it. So I read for it. I got the part, and they just changed it to, no, he's a beat cop who's been on the job for a really long time, and he just got bumped to detective, not even expecting it. So I'm still the new detective, but I'm an older character with a lot more experience. That's not the way they had envisioned it originally until, I did my read of it, and something I had connected with their idea of the story and also the character. And we brought our visions together, which is great.
And it probably is going to end up being a much better received thing because they had to think about it for a little bit.
I hope so. I hope I'm doing a good job.
Are you allowed to say, is this a full length or is this a short? What is this?
This one's a short. It's a short, but it kind of has a good potential as like a calling card for what could be a bigger film. It kind of just feels like the highlights of what would be a longer detective story, which is kind of fun.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
how many minutes long is the movie?
It's probably going to be in the neighborhood of about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. So it's a short, but it's a very fast paced, jumping through, moving through. It's kind of fun.
I love short movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do I. I fall asleep in the longer one.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Oppenheimer. It's a 3-hour movie that I heard. It's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long one. Great cast. I haven't seen it
Yeah.
yet either,
Oh
but
my God. Yeah. Like I'm
that's a
preparing
lot.
myself for that. Yeah. I wondered if I should probably wait here, but there's nothing like watching the biggest screen, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always a tough call.
Yeah.
Nice to watch those long ones at home, though. You can take a break.
Exactly. You can take a break, you know? Yeah,
Get some
because
more
it's too long.
popcorn.
Yeah. A friend of mine told me, no, I'm gonna wait until it's on, you know, it's ready to stream because I want some break in between.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, and a movie like that, I get to watch it on like 3 or 4 nights, whether I want to or not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
first third, and then I fall
Yeah.
asleep, and then I pick it up at the first to the second third, and that's
Yeah.
so it's very economical that way.
Yes.
But what do you think of it had been the last movie I went to prior to seeing Tom Cruise in the new
Top Gun Maverick or
yeah.
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, and it was like James Bond back in 2006. It's changed a lot in the theaters first of all, I thought that I could get popcorn and a pop without having to take out a loan. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Everything has
it's
changed.
spendy. Well, and it's just, I mean, COVID kind of changed theater vibe a lot too.
Oh
So
my God. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, two of us had 2 popcorns and 2 pops. It was double the price of the ticket to get into the stinking movie.
Oh my
yeah,
God. Yeah. No, they're very, very pricey. Yeah.
yep,
But that's how they stay alive, really, is
Yeah.
because yeah. So
very
Yeah,
true.
because not many people are going anyway, so they need to make that money, right?
Yep.
yeah. Well, we went and saw when we saw Top Gun, there were 3 other people in the theater.
Wow.
So it's times they be a changing.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Now the Logan, the Writers Guild
Mhm.
has settled. What's the Actors Guild gonna do?
Well, I think they're holding out for a deal that's as good or better than what the writers got, and it doesn't sound like that has been presented yet. So
Hmm.
hopefully, hopefully it works out well for everybody. From what I've read and seen, the writers definitely got an improved contract from what they had. So hopefully the actors can get one too, and it kind of levels the playing field as far as what everyone's worth is seen
Hmm.
as, because everybody's important in the process. So
I have a question for you. Do the so actors who are super famous and
mhm.
millionaires, were they also fighting, or it's only the actors who are more like middle of the ground, not middle of the ground in terms of their abilities, but more like in the type of shows that they are, you
Sure.
know?
Sure.
And so is this fight to protect them, or to protect the uber rich, the uber millionaires?
It Again, what I'm hearing, I'm not there
Yeah.
on the front lines, but it seems to be that everybody's fighting towards a more equal treatment across the
Hmm.
board.
That's good.
Um, so there's not one person who's getting paid 26 million and somebody else with just as much screen time and just as important to the film is only getting paid $4,000,
Got it.
which
Hmm.
has
Hmm.
happened,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is crazy. But um, no matter what, you're always going to have those few people that command a lot more money because the studio is heaping more on their name to sell the tickets.
Hmm.
But that doesn't necessarily mean they're better or more important to the story. So I think they're trying to come up with a way to level that out, because yeah, that's just kind of, it's not fair, it's not equal, and that's kind of why unions have always existed, is to try and make things fair and equal for everybody involved. So yeah, yeah, it does seem like that's the main idea behind this, not just to keep the super rich people continuing to be super rich,
Hmm.
but to kind of, spread the spread the the benefits a little more evenly across the board.
Yeah.
I was told, for those of you out there that are thinking, I think I'm going to become an actor. He's doing it. Logan's having a fine time doing it. And he's really, these are statistics. Now they go back a ways, but
Mhm.
I suspect that they're very similar to now. And that is, if you're in the Screen Actors Guild, which, by the way, getting in the Screen Actors Guild is not an easy thing to do, because you have to have a speaking part in a commercial, correct me if I'm wrong, a commercial, play, or a movie, to get into the Screen Actors Guild. But in order to have a speaking part in a movie, a play, or a commercial, you have to be a member of the Screen Actors Guild. So you can't. So it's a catch-22. Is that, number one? Is that correct? Is that kind of right?
It kind of, there's definitely auditions where if you're not union, you can't even submit for them.
Mhm.
But there's a lot where they don't care about your status, and if you get the part, you get the part, and then you might be what's called a must join,
Mhm.
meaning yes, we give you the part, but you have to join the union because of the part, or sometimes you'll get a union voucher. So you don't technically have to join the union until you get, used to be 3 vouchers. I think that's still the case. So depending on what it was, if your union dues are going to be, $3,000 for the year, and that thing pays 1,500, but it's a union job, so they have to treat you as union. You have to be considered union. You would get a voucher, but then you don't have to spend double what you're being paid to join a union. Kind of a vibe. So there is that, but yeah, there's a few more roles that you could be considered for if you were union, but it's pretty open to most things. Will consider seeing anybody union or not for casting, and I don't know, big movies or something, it might be more of a consideration, but for smaller projects, they don't seem to care. Um, it's not going to make a difference to them if it's between two people and one's union and one's not. They're still just going to pick whoever they think's best, not necessarily who's union. So
Well, that's good. How many people are in the Screen Actors Guild these days? Do you have any idea?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I saw the number earlier this year, but I don't remember.
It's somewhere in the, like, I heard 35, 50,000, something like that,
Hmm.
in that range of numbers.
Wow.
Hmm.
And Cayetana, do you have any idea how many of those, so let's say, just for the sake of argument, if there are 50,000 people in the Screen Actors Guild, do you have any idea what percentage make a nice living and are able to live in a mansion in Beverly Hills?
Oh my God, you're asking Cayetana math question. Oh my God, I don't have idea. Now I'm gonna have nightmare with numbers. I don't have idea. Everyone knows Cayetana is no good with math.
It's probably what, Logan, 5% maybe.
I would say more in like the 1% range.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of, I mean, actors that I've known. I'm not union currently, but I knew a lot of union actors that, you know, they worked their tails off, but they still, if they didn't have a partner or another job, they couldn't have afforded rent. And
Mhm.
they had been on every big TV show. They had done, 40, 50 movies at that point, and they still just, it can be a grind. Which again, part of that is what they're hoping to fix with the
Mhm.
current negotiations,
Yeah.
so that you're not super undervalued. It's a lot of it's like, hey, yeah, I sure I was on set for 2 days, but to learn all those lines, I spent 3 weeks working on it.
Claro, that's part of
So
work
yeah, so
for sure.
Now, I've always been curious about this. Now, I did Shakespeare,
mhm.
and I was Petruchio, and I had to learn the entire play to do that in the, like, 50 pages
Yeah.
and stuff. When you're an actor on a set and you know the scene you don't have to remember anything other than what's in that scene. Is that correct?
No.
Oh.
No. Especially most films are shot out of sequence. So you have to know the whole script because you have to know where you're at emotionally, not physically as well, but you have to know where your character's at emotionally in that scene. So if I'm shooting the scene, where my wife is dead first, and the whole rest of the movie is about us falling in love and everything, I can't have that my wife is dead thing in my mind when I'm meeting my wife that's shot 2 weeks later. So you have to know the whole script so that you can know where you need to be internally when you're delivering that scene. So yeah, you have to know the whole thing. You have to know everybody else's lines somewhat because pacing and everything is just as important on film as it is on stage. Yeah, they can cut it and everything, but you have to understand where you fit in on that day for that scene at that time, emotionally and with the other characters.
I even was told by another actor that in some big budget films, they have an individual whose job it is to make sure the actors are in the right place in the story that they're supposed to be,
Mhm.
and can kind of hold them to that.
Yeah,
If that
yeah.
makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, if the studio's spending $250 million, they wanna take every precaution they can to make sure everybody's on the same page, and especially if you're an actor who's in demand, not only do you have that thing going on, but you've probably got 4 scripts that you're reading that they want you to do. You're probably casting another thing you're already working on. So when you get that busy and that much going on, the studio wants to be sure that their investment is being protected. You're not going to throw in a big investment at a bank that's not insured. You wouldn't do it. They're doing the same thing. But I seriously doubt that good actors that take the craft seriously really ever need that. I think it's more of just probably studio insurance than anything else. So
Young lady, any
Yeah.
questions?
No, just many. You said so. The Screen Actors Guild is one of the unions, and it's one of the unions. SAG-AFTRA. The other one, I'm pronouncing it right. SAG-AFTRA.
yeah, Screen
Yeah.
Actors Guild and American Film and Television Radio Association or agency.
Okay, is that okay? Got it. That's SAG-AFTRA. That's what I mean. SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's one. Okay, yeah. My God. Thank you for clarifying.
Well, that's good. That's good. So we wish you a lot of success.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you're able to work full time and getting lots of parts and lots of look at, and being a young man like you are, your range is still what, 20 years? You can go a little older, you
Oh
can go
yeah,
a little younger.
I can play a rough early 30s up to like I've played characters in their mid 50s, so I have pretty big range there.
Exactly. Well, and Cayetana being a young girl like she is, she's what are you, 23, 24?
Almost 19.
You do have kind of an amazing ageless look. So you could really, I mean, as far as just looks, you could play a ton of different characters and you have a lot of energy, which, that can just focusing that on a character would really, it would be amazing. I'd love to see you in something. So whenever you get cast, let me know.
Yeah, you will.
Could you imagine this person when she smiles in a 50-foot screen?
Yeah.
It would light up the entire auditorium.
Yep.
Oh my God, they're being big right now.
You can do it. You can do it. And you just, like I said, you just you bring a lot of life, which is what everybody wants to see.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I'm a 50-year-old woman. I look like in my 30s. I love it. Thank you, mommy.
Good genes and
Good genes,
but you
yeah.
take care of yourself too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Logan, is there anything else you'd like to anybody you'd like to shout out to if
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is listening or some of the other guys?
I really don't care if Tom Cruise is listening, but I will shout out my co-star in the thing we're shooting right now, Ren Caldwell, REN, Ren Caldwell. You can find her on you can find them, sorry, on Instagram, Facebook, website. They have a website too that I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure you can find it.
Yeah.
But they've been great to work with. They're really new to the film acting world. Just got started, and I'm having a great time playing with them on set. So that's been a blast. Film I'm working on, Cult of Zarheth. Hopefully, will be out. Well, it'll hit some festivals next year, so keep an eye out for that. That'll be fun. And of course, I'm Logan Cannon. I'm Instagram at Logan Cannon _actor. If you want to reach out to me for a part, I'm happy to act for you, with you, and create great art together.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I had no idea, and I think there are a lot of people in my boat do not understand how many festivals there are. And how many cool films that you can go see. I know there's one in Seattle, and there's now that COVID is kind of easing up, people are starting to get back into it and stuff. There's one in Gig Harbor.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
one in
Gig
Gig
Harbor.
Harbor. There's one in Port Townsend. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah.
it. So they're everywhere. So
48 film hour just wrapped.
You can do
40-hour film.
international too. A friend of mine just went to Chile to show her documentary, and now Costa Rica. Yeah, it's everywhere. It's not only Sundance. I think they made it sound like it was the only one when I first moved to the United States, and then I found all these cute ones around wherever I live here.
Well, when you get to walk the red carpet again, and last time was a fortunate, interesting situation that you had, but
yes.
But next time I want you to walk away with a naked man or whatever whatever the Oscar is.
The shiny butt of Oscar.
Shiny statue. Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be great. We've been talking with Logan Cannon, and give us your information one more time, young man.
Logan Cannon. I'm on Instagram at Logan Cannon _actor. And my agent is Actors in Action, Damon Jones. You can find me on the Actors in Action website as well. Reach out to me either place. I'm happy to, like I said, would love to act with anybody and create some awesome art together and have a good time. So that's me.
Yeah.
I just thought of something that I have to bring up.
Yeah.
We just are doing my cohort in crime, Holly Berry, is a floral designer by trade. And she ran into someone from Bloom TV. And what Bloom TV is they have a whole channel dedicated to floral design and working with flowers, and they have different pilots. And so we are actually putting together a pilot for Bloom TV. It is a fascinating process, and we're able to use we use a drone, and we're able to use our handheld cameras, and it doesn't look bad. It looks pretty professional. Is it easier? And if we take that, and so they're going to take it to Bloom TV, and then if they like it, then there's a possibility we'll do more with them. But we are now just getting into this filmmaking thing. Is it relatively easy to, at a lower level, be able to put together a pilot or a 20-minute informational film about a business or something like that you can take out and sell, that sort of thing?
It's a lot easier than it used to be. The hard part is the selling it part. Well, the two hard parts are people being dedicated enough to finish it. The shooting is a tiny bit. The editing and putting it all together is going to be just as long, if not twice as long.
We're discovering that.
Yeah. But the selling it is the harder part. If you want people to see it, there's a lot of places you can show it. There's a lot of festivals, but getting somebody to pay for it, that's a bit tougher. So
that's exactly what we're finding.
Yep.
But and before you go, I want to Cayetana, talk to him for a moment. I got to do this.
Yeah. How often do you have to shoot movies outside of Portland?
I have been this year I've been from Bellingham all the way down to south of Salem, so all along that range. And the last 4 months I've had multiple shoots outside of Portland, like in the Seattle area, a couple of times every month, so quite a bit.
Yeah. Do you what is the question I was going to ask? Oh my God. Do you find it easy to I mean, like, if you travel let's say LA or abroad to another country, like, is it easy for an actor just to get into the group there in location, or because it's a different space? Or
I haven't had the opportunity to go quite that far. I'm more kind of local. But it is, I mean, even just local, you're driving 5-6 hours somewhere, you need time to kind of get back into it. And you can use the drive time a lot of the times to think about those things, but at least for me, I have to kind of get physical and get moving again to get kind of back into the right area in my head to be there for the film.
where can we go to check the movies that you made and your shorts? Because I saw your resume of movies, and I really want to see some of them. I mean, I love the titles.
Yeah, so it kind of changes all the time. Some of them you can find on YouTube. I'm in a couple of them with a guy named Vincent Truman. He wrote, directed several of them, so you can find his YouTube channel, Vincent Truman, Truman, on YouTube, and I'm in several of those. Other ones, though, like a couple of the movies I was in have been on like Prime and Tubi and different places like that, and it's always changing. That's the thing with streaming, is it's there for a while and then it's gone. So that is kind of the dilemma. It's not always super easy. I have some clips of myself on my YouTube channel. I'll have some more coming up as they roll in. So my YouTube's Logan Cannon, picture of me, so pretty easy to find.
Super.
So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cayetana, you did great taking over, and especially just at the drop of the hat. So I've got it set up now. So I want to show Logan something and see. And this is from a drone, and then handheld cameras and microphones. And let me go do this. And where the heck are you? Oh, no, gotta go there. Okay. I'm a professional. I really am. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
The little circle.
At naturaldesign.com studios, I direct and facilitate floral fusion, especially for my patrons on Patreon.
Hi, my name's Emily. I am a creative makeup artist for Ishi Artistry, as well as a floral designer for A Natural Design since 2019, and overall a creative person.
Hi, I'm Miss Amber from Forest School Friends. I've been collaborating with A Natural Design since 2019. Come on over to the tea party. You don't want to miss the cake.
So
today in the studio, Emily started working on a floral back piece that I'll be able to wear to a tea party that we're planning, as well as we did a mini photo shoot session for Emily as well. I love posting behind the scenes content and events private for my patrons on Patreon.
Now that you've seen behind the scenes at a Natural Design Studios, let's get back to the product focus. Let's find out how this tea is made. For that, we're going to see our tea expert.
It looked like that was breaking up on your part. Was that breaking up?
It was breaking up in here, yes.
Yeah, a
Kids?
little bit. Yes, but still.
I'm sorry. What did you think?
The things you can do
Logan?
with modern cameras is amazing.
Yeah.
It really is, and so that's okay. Well, enough of that. We still I have a co-host on Wednesday, and he got cut off on his stream like 4 or 5 times, and stopped screen sharing, and so during the show he said, because he got cut off, and it was like, and I have a, and then he'd go away, and then he'd come back, and then he'd go away again, and then come back, and he came back one time, and he said, by the way, if you work for Comcast or Xfinity, I want you to know that you suck.
Not
so
a positive endorsement.
Yeah. I'm hopefully gets some mail. So, but it's amazing what you can do these days. Get out and be creative. I invite everybody.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But whatever you have, do it. Exactly.
Exactly. Logan, anything else you'd like to say before I let you go? We've taken way too much of your time.
Well, be on the lookout for me. Hire me. Also, check out my brother's comic book, The Schlub.
Okay, excellent.
That's coming out. The third book's coming out this month. So,
Cayetana, anything that you'd like to add?
It was a pleasure to meet you, Logan. Very insightful. All the tips that you gave us. We want to encourage teenagers to watch these, and people who want to be actors to watch these and take notes. Where to go.
And dive into it.
Yeah.
Great meeting you too. Wonderful.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, I hope our paths cross again.
And by the way, just so everybody knows, you're never going to be an actor unless you start somewhere. So start today.
Mm-hmm.
And do an improvisational class.
Yep.
If you fall in love with it, you're on your way. So
yeah.
So thanks, guys. It's always a pleasure. And Logan, will you come back and see me again? See us again?
Absolutely.
Yes, please come back.
Yeah.
You must be good luck for me, because I said her name twice in a row and didn't screw it up.
That's awesome. Just little by little, you're gonna get it.
Yes, indeed. So thank you, Cayetana. Thank you, Logan, and stay right where you are. We'll be right back. Hey, thanks for enjoying this episode all the way to the end. Please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. This has been a production of PositiveTalkRadio.net. Please visit our website, oddly named PositiveTalkRadio.net, for more details about us and our mission, which is to provide great positive programming designed to inspire us all. I'm Kevin McDonald, and I'm proud of these shows, and I truly hope that you'll like them and share them with friends and family. So on behalf of our entire team, remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we got.